Okay, so I was thinking you share a little bit about your story
Okay.
and what led you to where you are today and maybe why you haven't retired and what's
Yeah.
some of the inspiration around why you do what you do.
Yeah. Well, why I haven't retired is because I've only been doing it for like 15 years, a little bit more than that. I graduated cosmetology school in 2007. But before that, my grandparents, how I got into doing hair is my grandparents owned a motel, two of them, in a small town outside of Austin. And when they passed away, they left me a motel. And if Schitt's Creek was actually a show, whenever whenever I inherited it, I wouldn't be a hairstylist. But this was a long time ago. So I had it for 2 years. I sold it. When I sold it, I traveled the world, bought real estate, and then I was like, okay, I need to do something like career-wise. I didn't have the opportunity to go to college. Right after high school, I moved to Hawaii to get to know that side of my family. And so I went to school, mom and pop. I went to all these schools to like get things done to see it like where I fit in. And I really wanted to go to the Paul Mitchell School because of the name. But every time I went in there, they were working on mannequins. So I ended up going to a school that actually had a bus of like people from a nursing home, and they were working on people. So I was like, okay, this is where I want to go. And then, you know, fast forward, like the whole reason you go to school is to pass state board. You don't really
Right,
learn
right.
anything until you graduate and go into the salon world. So my first salon, after graduation in '07, I went to a big salon, 30 people, 20, 30 people is a lot. With a big salon, there's a lot of like attitude and all that kind of stuff. And I was like already in my mid to late 30s, so I had already lived like two lives. So I was a little bit advanced. You know, I managed a Banana Republic for 10 years. I worked in retail and restaurants, so customer service and hospitality has always been a thing for me. And so I just was always out and about. And so I kind of started to separate myself by wearing a bow tie, and what didn't make me any better than anybody else, but it got me a lot of attention because I had this like vibe. Not that I wanted to wear a bow tie, I hated wearing bow ties because
Yeah.
like who likes that? But I took the bow ties and I cut all the sleeves off of my shirts because it was a complete juxtaposition of like what I looked like and what I was presenting to the world. But it was such a vibe and people just were attracted to that and they wanted to sit in my chair. So they did. Um, I landed the cover of a magazine, and whenever that happened, I wanted to capitalize on the fruits of my labor. So I left that big salon and I rented a chair and then eventually took over that salon. And I continued to wear that bow tie because it was a brand and a signature. Now, none of this was planned out. It just like literally happened. I was like, okay, this totally makes sense. I'm getting a lot of attention. I'm going to lean into that. So that's what I did. That's kind of how I've always done what I'm doing. You know, I find myself, 15 plus years into doing hair and I love it. You know, for the first like 10 plus years, I was just working so hard, just my head down, just working and trying to get, my name on every magazine and publication in the town I lived in. That whenever I closed my salon, I thought I was lost because I thought that a brick and mortar was who I was. But I didn't realize until later that my name was my brick and mortar, and wherever I went, that was like the most powerful thing.
Mm.
My social media started to build, and when that happened, I kind of started leaning into becoming a content creator, influencer, because I've seen so many of them make a lot of money. But I was so much like everybody else, and honestly, like I loved hair, so I literally leaned into that, and I decided to raise my prices. And raising prices is one of those things that I think a lot of people tend to get really nervous about. And so I just had to understand that what I had to offer was a big value.
Yeah.
And I also looked at my clientele. My clientele were rolling up in Porsches and Mercedes and BMWs, and they were traveling the world and going to like Lake Como and all the things that I wish I could do. And so I was like, why can't I have a life like that?
Right.
And I knew that these people that were sitting in my chair had the money, that if I were to raise it and they stayed, I knew that my value was there. And I started being flown places, and I said, I think I'm pretty good if I'm being flown to do a haircut. Like I was flown to Miami, my first time ever to go to Miami. I was flown there, put up in the one hotel for 3 nights or 2 nights, I don't know, and cut someone's hair, my clients, and then went home. That was my first time ever. And I thought, dude, that guy just spent all that money for me to go and cut his hair. I've got to be good, you know?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Especially with your background and understanding hospitality and service, like you knew that it's not just the product alone that creates the value.
It's not the haircut, because there's so many better hairstylists and barbers than me. There truly are. Everyone's, I mean, with social media, you can just see how good people are. And I never claim to be the best, but if a client says I'm the best, I'm not going to argue with them.
Right.
You know, that's their opinion. And if they think I'm cool, thank you so much for saying that. But so I knew that I had something of value. So when my platform on social media started to grow, I was like, I need to make room for that. So what I did is I said, I only want to do 2 things. I want to do short haircuts because I freaking love it. Scissor over comb, no clippers ever. And I wanted to do blonde highlights because that's where I made the money. And I need a break in between haircut after haircut after haircut. So I kept those 2 things. And I also kept my clients that had solid colors. I wasn't taking any more solid colors, but I didn't want to do solid colors. So I raised my prices to $275 because I don't want to do it. But these people still wanted me to do their hair. So I was like, well, that's how much I charge. They're like, okay. I went from 95 to that. And then with the highlights, I went all the way up to like, I think 450 or 550, 525, something like that. But my haircut is where I was really focused on. So I went from 70 to 120, no one left. So 6 months later, I raised it to 175 because I thought, if nobody left at 120, I'm not charging enough. And so 6 months later, when I raised it, half of my clientele dropped, and I was like, thank God, you know, because at the end of the day, it's not about like how many people I can do. It's about like I said before, I don't need 100 clients, I need 50. I need 50 that believe in what I have to offer of value is value to them. And that's all I need to focus on. There's a lot of people that probably think that I don't cut tight enough, I don't do whatever. I don't care what they think, because for me, my clients are paying a lot of money to sit in my chair, and if they can come in every like 6 to 8 to 12 weeks, then that's value to them. They're not going to a barbershop every 2 or 3 weeks, you know? And so for me, I just never liked clippers. I used clippers in cosmetology school because we had to, but I left them at cosmetology school. I've always cut scissor over comb. Never taken a class. This is just something that made sense to me. And I just cut that way. And I know I could charge more, because if I charge 175 and they leave me 20 or 25% tip,
Right.
that's the base that I base it off of, you know. That's why I feel like, you know, this, if you're old enough to understand what Still Magnolias is, that movie, this isn't, it's not like a backyard haircut. Like, those days of me going to my mom's beauty salon is like over. Like, people are still doing that in small towns, but like there's so much more availability and so much more talent out there, you know. And so I go around the country and I teach people how I cut, or I mentor. I don't like to say I teach, I mentor people, because I'm a big cheerleader. I want everyone to be successful in our business, because what we have to offer is huge value. As a barber, I feel like you have chapters of lives with people, like just a couple of chapters. But as a hairstylist, I feel like I can grow with that client, right? So I used to have a pompadour. My hair is not very long now, so that barber wouldn't know how to cut my hair. So as a hairstylist and person that's using, you know, scissors and all this other stuff, I can actually see this guy graduate college, get married to his college sweetheart, get married, have a house, have a kid, buy a business, sell a business, get divorced, get remarried. I get to see all of it.
Grow his hair out, cut it short,
Yeah,
grow it out
all of
long
that
again.
stuff, and say, no, we shouldn't do that. Like, I get to have this relationship, you know? And I think, and I also, this is also important. I feel like they're not my friends. I feel like they're my clients. And I travel with my clients. I go to dinner with my clients.
I'd also say,
But as you get older, I feel like you have a core handful of friends that are your real friends. And I feel like everybody else are acquaintances, you know, like if I have a dear friend, she's 85 years old. Used to go visit her in Denver when she moved up there, and I would do her hair there. And I've traveled to Paris and Maui and around the United States with her. And she was a friend then, but like I've always treated it as if she was my client because she still pays me, right? So I think there's a really fine line between that. I no longer do her hair, but I still go visit her, and I stay at her house. She is now a friend, right? So there's a difference. And that's just me, old school, how I was raised kind of thing. So that's just my thought process. And I think to be a good hairstylist, you have to have the talent and skill. But I've seen some really good, talented and skilled hairstylists that have no personality and they're not busy.
Right.
You know, and I feel like we attract a lot of people like ourselves in our chair. So I have a little bit of sass, but only to my clients, and they have the same kind of sass to me, right?
Mhm.
So that's who I attract, you know. But we have fun, and I love what I do, and I don't ever see myself really expired, I guess, or like retiring because I think I'm going to see myself as like that little old Asian man cutting hair, like barely cutting hair, but I'll have the best shears because you see these old Japanese people like in Japan with like these like long metal that just like when they're cutting, you can hear it like, meh, meh, meh. You're just like, oh my God, that's like not even sealing the cuticle of the hair, but they're like going to town. And so I'm just like, that's probably going to be me. I just love this profession. And I think there's so much value in what a hairstylist and a barber is nowadays. But there's so much talent out there, but there's also so much more riffraff. So we have to overcome all of that, right? Because you have all of these small towns that aren't going to get education.
Right.
They're just kind of doing their thing because that's what they're doing, and they're doing the same thing over and over. It's like I remember the first time I ever went to a chair rent salon, and there was a couple of hairstylists that only had like 5 colors, and that's all of their clients looked the same if they got color. And I was like, I do color barely, and I have like a whole bunch of color because I don't know what I need, you know? But and I don't need it all. I really honestly need to throw it all away. but I worry about that kind of stuff because I don't know, you know, I still take clients. I look at if a client leaves, I don't text them, and I don't like, why aren't you here?
Right. Because you have that distinction between friend and client.
Yeah, and
When
so
when every client's a friend, it's like everything becomes that much more difficult to overcome because there's this deep emotional element that's just hard to navigate.
Yeah, and it's really hard because you're taking it personally. And for me, it's business. And if I run into them around Town Lake or whatever, I'm like, hey, what's up? Or if I'm at dinner and I run into them, I'm always saying hi. You know, sometimes they're like, oh my God, don't look at me, my hair. I'm all like, honestly, I don't pay attention to anyone's hair. But since you said it, I'm literally looking at your hair. And it looks like shit because I'm not doing it anymore. No. But I'm just like, you know, hey, it's totally fine. I mean, I look at that as if, you know, it opens up space for someone else to sit in my chair. And I think that's really important because people have chapters in their lives and pages, and I always go back to that because it's a true story. You don't know what somebody else is going through. Maybe they lost their job. Maybe you said something that offended them, or maybe you didn't say something that they wanted to hear. Whatever the case may be, we don't know. So if someone decides to leave, I don't take it personally. I just look at it as, you know what? I'm good enough that somebody else is going to sit in my chair. So I don't advertise. Like this lady asked me one time, she goes, what do you do for advertisement? I was like, girl,
I do really good haircuts.
yeah, my people talk. And you know, if you've been doing hair for 20 years and you're in the same town and you're still doing ads to get clients, then maybe think about the common denominator. It's you. Like, I mean, if you're doing hair for that long, you shouldn't be like advertising like that. I don't think. I mean, I feel like you should already have a core amount of clients that support you. And if you don't, then I feel like it's a little bit more challenging for a barber because I feel like, and I don't know, and I may be incorrect, but I feel like you don't have longevity with clients because I feel like it's very transient. Unless like it's an older guy and they are losing hair or they're like, you know, making it a weekly routine or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's true because I think most barbers offer the same thing.
And
This
so,
type of fade,
yeah.
and that's pretty much it. And this type of shave, and that's pretty much it. And you can get a
At
taper
any
fade,
barbershop.
a low fade, a high fade, a bald fade. Any of these standard barber haircuts, yeah, you're driving past 30 shops to get to mine.
Yeah.
And
what's separate?
Right.
What separates you?
But when you start incorporating true hair dressing, hair styling,
Different level.
they're like, I can't get this anywhere else.
No.
And I would drive past 100 places to get to this one.
Absolutely, 100%. And I love that so much. And this is like one of the reasons I educate for Hanzo is because like that kind of stuff, right? Like I can go, I don't get intimidated walking in with a hat that says no clippers ever into a barbershop. Like I don't get intimidated by that because I'm all like, listen, what you have to offer is amazing value. Like it's so good. But dude, it's fucking $35.
Right.
Like the difference between a hairstylist and a barber, I think, is the hustle. I think that I think we have the same hustle, but you really have to hustle. You have to get like, if you're charging $35
You have to have 700 clients.
a day, like, oh my God, I just need to have like 3 or 4, you know, like 5. And that's a long day for me. And also whenever I raise my prices, I went to like, if I'm gonna raise my prices significantly, I need to give them more time because they are following me on social media. They want to know what I'm doing. I want to know what they're doing. I want to be able to stop and talk because I love to talk about whatever. And I need that time, you know? So 75 minutes is what I allow. And I don't want my clients to ever feel rushed.
Right. That's that hospitality root in you.
Yeah. It's important because, you know, I think it's really interesting. Someone told me the other day and I thought I almost fell out of my chair. But they said that they get their haircut and they pay $70 for a level 1. A level 1 is a person that just got out of cosmetology.
Yeah.
And I was like, $70? Like, I was good at $70, but the only reason I decided to raise it was only because my
clientele was so big.
Yeah. I was just all like, I need to lose clients, you know? And so that's how I did it. And that was just a few years ago. Like, it wasn't long ago. Right. It was within the last 5 years.
So 10 years into your career is whenever you're like, I'm ready to do this thing big.
Well, you have to take a jump. But here's the reality is your clientele will tell you if you're ready. So if you think you're a badass and you go from like $50 to $120 and you're not ready, your clients are not going to show up for you.
Right.
And by that, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 will stay, but when you raise it, you still want to have a clientele that you can go in and it be busy. You can't sit there and be like, huh. So like right now I could raise my prices to $300 for a haircut, but I'm going to be sitting there like,
Right.
You know, like I'm waiting for my next $300 haircut. That's like how I get upset if someone cancels like last minute. They're like, I'm going to pay you anyways. Girl, I don't need your money. Like, I'd rather have you sit down because I have a list of people waiting to come in and you just wasted my time. And that to me, and both of ours.
Yeah.
But they get 2 chances and then they're out. I'm all like, dude, I had this one lady, I won't say her name, but she was on vacation. She came back and was all like, I'm not coming in. I'm sick, whatever. You know, it happens. But she called like an hour before the haircut. She goes, I'll pay you. I was like, it's not really about that, but whatever. She paid me. And then a couple weeks later, she made an appointment. And then she calls and says, I'm going to be 5-10 minutes late. She's driving. She hits traffic. I'm going to be 20 minutes late. I said, we'll probably have to cancel. At this time, I'm on my computer writing to tell her, I'm sorry, but our roads have met and we need to go our separate ways. And that bitch rolls up. And I'm all like, what are you doing here? She's all like, I just wanted you to know that I'm so sorry. And I was already on my way, so I don't want to get fired. And, please, da, da, da. I was like, well, I'm going to have to think about it. And I'm still thinking about it like 4 months later. And the reason is because I think that silence is the answer. Like, she already knows I haven't responded. Like, I don't need to respond. I just told her I need to think about it. But every time she will run into like client and my name will be dropped and she'll take a picture and send it to me like, oh, look who I just met. I'm all like, huh.
I think that people could hear this and be like, I can't believe he would think that. I can't believe he would do that. The reason I think that is because that sounds extreme to a lot of people, but little do they know
that's the reality.
That's the reality, and little do they know. And I'm thinking from the perspective of barbers who are going to watch this, they don't know, but they're doing the extreme opposite of that, which is incredibly detrimental to their business. Which is, you get a last minute text. It's actually 5 minutes after the appointment was supposed to start. The client says, "Man, I'm stuck in traffic. I had this thing happen," or "Man, I overslept. I'm so sorry." Whether it's a legitimate reason or not, oftentimes it's not, and your client just forgot, or they just had a whatever, and that's because they don't value the service, because it's $35, and they're like, whatever. And then the barber, what they do, they say, "No big deal. Hey, don't worry about it. I'm not even going to charge you. It's no big deal. I'll get you in tomorrow." And then the client's like, "Sweet, I can just do this, and it's never a big deal, and I can do this in the future too." And it's like when you're training a child. What you do and you don't do, you're always training them, and that's exactly how we as service providers. That's exactly what we're doing when we're talking to our clients.
We're always in training mode.
We're always training them to, hey, I need you to respect my time, or I don't need you to respect my time. And most barbers do what you don't, which is they say, "Oh, my time is not worth any money, and therefore it's not a big deal." And they don't see it that way, but they need to see it that way. They need to see, no, this is serious. If you want your business to grow, your clients need to respect your time, and it starts with you respecting your own time. And that's what you're doing. You're saying, what I bring to the table is of the utmost value, and if you don't respect that, then we're not going to do business together.
And I say that because they have the opportunity to go anywhere else.
Exactly.
And I am not pulling your leg to come here and pay me the money that you pay me, for me to be like, oh, for you to say, oh, I'm just going to pay you anyways. Girl, I don't want that money.
Right.
To me, that's like blood money. Like, take it somewhere else. Like, I'd rather have a client that respects my time, that shows up on time and sits in my chair and we have a good conversation. Great. It's amazing. So that's the way I look at business. There's a lot of like things I could say, like, I hope like my clients don't ever see this, but like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a tip would be you make an appointment to come back and see me, right? Like, I've seen people get really upset about the tipping culture in America. And honestly, like, it's a service, it's a talent and a skill. And, if you don't want to pay for whatever, then don't. I just feel like if you're sitting your ass down and someone's serving you and doing something, that's where you're paying, like.
Especially when they consider it's not about the time. It's about the years and years and years.
Lots of years.
Of crafting this service and hospitality experience.
Absolutely.
That it's not just about, oh, you're paying me for 30 minutes or you're paying me for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, you're paying me for the years and years and years of hard work and dedication.
To get here.
Passion to get here. In addition to the service.
That's why you stay with me from $70 to $120 to $175.
Right.
Because you see the value of that.
Right.
I grow, you grow, right? So like, I told you this story about this guy that he came in when I went from $70 to $120. And he walked in with a little bit of attitude and was like, I just expected you to grandfather me in, or us in, that had been supporting you this whole time. And, prior to that, he had been telling me about his story about how he was traveling and doing all this stuff. So I had him sit in the chair and I turned him around and put him right in the mirror to where he can see me. And I said, well, you know what I want? And he goes, no. And I said, I want to fly first class, to Tulum and build a house, which is exactly what he was doing. Like, why can't I have the same kind of life that he has?
Right.
There's no reason. Like, he doesn't need to come here and sit in my chair. He's been to other barbershops and places, and
he always came back.
He's coming back.
Right.
So I'm like, I mean, the next time you do that, I'm going to have to charge a refixing fee.
Right.
Fixing that haircut of yours. So yeah. But I think there's always stories like that. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I just know that like I have what I find value and I implement it into what I do. And I feel like that has given me a platform and a position that I'm in. I don't think, again, I'm the best. I think I'm really good at what I do, but there's so many talented people out there, very talented. But
especially now that you're traveling and you're educating, you're in
God.
this space and you're teaching, mentoring these students, and then you see their work and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm so blessed to be able to teach you. You should be teaching me.
Totally.
Like, you have those moments the more you travel and teach, like with Hanzo.
There's so many talented people. There's this one guy, and I think it was Greenville, South Carolina, that I went to, I was actually in Richmond, and it was so interesting because you could tell this guy was so hungry. Like, it was a barbershop. He was so hungry. It was my last class of the whole trip. And he sat down and I said, let me just tell you, like, I'm all about supporting what we do. I am telling you how I cut. I'm not telling you this is how you should do it. You can do whatever you want. I'm just here to show you what I do. I said, if you ever need anything, and I say this to everybody, email me, send me a message on my Instagram. I will respond. I have a lot of followers, and I try and respond to everybody. It's another job, by the way. Oh, yeah. It's a lot. So this kid that night reached out to me and was all like, hey, I'm ready to raise my prices. I was like, all right, cool. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to support you. So, like, tell me, how much are you charging? And he said, like, I don't know. I'm just going to make numbers. He said, I'm charging 15. And I said, all right, cool. How much do you want to charge? He said, 75. Like that. It was real quick. I said, well, do you think you're worth it? He goes, yeah. I said, do your clients think you're worth it? He's like, I think so. Okay, can your clients pay for it? He's like, yeah, I think so. I said, so if you're that confident, then just what's keeping you? He's like, I'm just afraid. I was like, afraid of what? He's like, I don't know. I'm just afraid. I was like, all right, cool. So why don't you do this? It's what I do. I said, $50, pay me in cash. But if you do credit card, it's 75. That way it's like you keep cash, put it on your pillow, save it for a rainy day, whatever you want to do. And I said, do that. And he's like, all right. So that night he raised his prices, and the next day he texted me and said, hey, by the way, two of my clients texted and said it's about time. I said, well, yeah, you think a client's going to tell you to raise your prices? They don't want to tell you that.
Right.
They ain't going to say raise your prices. Yeah. They're like, raise your prices, but don't charge me.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. And so he did that. And then I went to Greenville, South Carolina, and he reached out to me because he follows me, and he said, hey, I'd love to get a haircut from you, because I was cutting his friend's hair. And his friend had messaged him when I was trying to tell him how to raise his prices like he wanted to move shops also. So I helped him do that kind of stuff. But he was messaging me. He said, hey, that guy that you cut, he said you laced it. And I was like, what the hell is laced? He's all like, he laughed and he goes, it means you did really good. I was like, oh, okay, I laced it, I guess, like whatever. And so whenever I was going to Greenville, he said, I want a haircut by you. I want to check that out. And I was like, okay, cool, come on down. I didn't realize that he drove 6 hours.
Wow.
To come and get his haircut.
And he was on time.
And he was 30 minutes early. I was like, sweet, and I forgot what he looked like, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you're a tall, skinny white guy. So took him into the Paul Mitchell class, and I cut his hair out there, and I would have had him really kind of talk, but he's like kind of like hood. And so I could barely understand what he was saying. I was like, I don't have him talk in front of this whole class. Like, I could barely understand him. But I really wanted to be all like, this guy drove 6 hours and I helped mentor him to move shops and raise his prices. Like, that's what I do. Because, there's value to like supporting other people that need to be supported and that feel like they have that value and stuff like that. And so with that, I was like, dude, you need to implement some shears. If you're gonna do this kind of stuff, like take it up to the next level. Like $75 for a barber haircut is a good price, but I feel like that's the peak.
Right.
Because
Because you can only offer half of what you should be able to offer.
well, there's you got 30 barbershops on this street, you know,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? So
All
like,
are doing fades and none of them can use scissors.
no, and you basically can go and say, I'll take a number 1 or
Right.
number 2.
Right.
You know, basically that's what that is. They're coming in saying exactly. They don't even know what a burst fade is. They're like, oh, I think I want a burst fade, and then you give it to them. They're like, oh, that's what it is. Right, cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make there, because that has been a standard barbershop experience for
a lot
all
of people.
time.
Yeah.
Basically, is these are the 10 haircuts I
Yeah.
offer. And oh, by the way, every barbershop that you pass on the way here has this same sign on the wall. And so then the client's like, I could get a burger from this place or a burger from this place, and they're both the same.
Yeah.
Why is this one $40 more?
Yeah.
And so whenever you tailor your service in a way that's, no, this is custom for you,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you something that's for you.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's like the value just,
Totally.
they see, no, this is a story creator who is helping me in my story, and there's no one else who can create that for me.
Yeah.
And therefore they follow you through the $70 to the $120.
They really, truly will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I've traveled. I don't like when I look at my future, like the big picture. Like, you know, in January, you like separate yourself, and then you think about the whole year and all this other stuff. Where I am now, I've never even pictured myself in. I never pictured myself to be a mentor or an educator or anything like that.
Like when you first put that bow tie on, you were thinking about, I'm building my brand.
No.
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 What were you thinking?
I thought I looked cute.
And then every day you just did the same, you just did some, whatever was new.
Well, what ended
Whatever
up
you
happening is people were like, oh, you look great in a bow tie. And I was like, huh. Then I started like wearing it all the time, to the point to even when I went out to the bars, I would wear it. And I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever, like at a bar. And then I started getting like the newspaper, Awesome American Statesman, reached out and they said, hey, we're gonna do an article on you about your clothes. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, and they're like, I was like, about hair and clothes? No, just how you dress, like your style, your vibe. I was like, nothing to do with my hair, being a hairstylist. They're like, no. I was like, oh, I had no idea. Like, even to this day, like I have a huge following on social media for wearing literally thrifted clothes and like t-shirts that are stained that I can't take out, like you know, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing like, you know, like a Hermes scarf and like a Rolex, but like just it's a vibe, right? Like I don't need to have like the most expensive things. I just need to throw it in. And I feel like sometimes you know, we get so like trying to keep up with the Joneses and stuff like that, and then we just lose everything. For me, it's just like, this is just how I wear stuff. And like, even whenever I'm doing haircuts, I'm all like, I could do a whole haircut with just these shears, but that would be like me wearing a t-shirt and a blue jeans, but I need these shears, which would be like my scarf, and I need these shears would be like my accessories and jewelry. So I feel like with having just one thing is really simple, but having everything else, you never know when you need it, you know, or if you want to implement it. Like today, I didn't know if I was going to wear like pink or blue or yellow or whatever, you know. I didn't know what I was going to wear, and I don't plan out my clothes. I'm just like, oh, okay, I have to get dressed and go. So I just throw all my together, and I'm all like, okay, 5 minutes, let's go, let's get dressed in front of the video. I get dressed in like 10 minutes. I'm getting dressed already. We all get dressed. I'm just putting it on film. And then while I'm waiting, I get to work an hour early pretty much all the time. Right. Because the reason I get to work an hour early is because I want to get set up for my clients, and I want to be able to be ready for them, because I think that's valuable, right? So I don't like for them to make me wait, and I don't want them to wait. So I go in, I set up, I sit down, and I start editing my stuff. And then I post. And then by that time, my clients are here, start my day, I'm done, easy breezy. I could do a haircut in 30, 45 minutes, up to an hour. if it's a new person or someone I'm talking to a long time, but like I want at least 10 to 15 minutes to like just chill,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I have a diverse clientele, meaning in age. Like I think the youngest are like 10. By the way, they get charged the same price as an adult, and up to like 80 years old. And the ones that are usually 10 minutes early are the 70 and 80-year-old ones. So I like to just finish before
Mm-hmm.
that, so yeah, that kind of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we'll just flow. I guess I'll share my story with you.
Yeah.
So I was in my parents' kitchen
Mm-hmm.
whenever I was 14 years old. My little brother came home with a just horribly botched haircut, which was pretty much the standard in our town,
Yeah.
Magnolia, Texas, where it was you drive over to Tomball, you go to Sports Clips or Great Clips,
Come home crying.
you come home crying, and it's short enough to last you through the summer heat, and then you start growing your hair out during the school year, and you maybe get one haircut for homecoming or for a prom or for some school dance or something like that. And that's kind of the cycle of rinse and repeat where there is no haircut is the style or haircut is the accessory to who you are or an expression of who you are. It's just a
Cut.
it's just a haircut.
Yeah.
And so anyway, my brother comes home and my mom's in the art studio. We had an art studio in the home that I grew up in. She's a mixed media artist, heavily inspired me as an artist in every way, from the personality of who I am and how I express myself to the inspiration of what I'm about to get into. So he comes home with this horrible haircut, and he had picked up a pair with my mom. Picked up a pair of Walgreens clippers or something like that, just some cheapies. And I'm like, well, he's like, hey, do you think you could fix this? I mean, you're pretty artistic, right? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I'll give it a go. And so there's nothing I could do really but buzz it, right? So
Yeah.
I buzz his hair, and I'm like, that was pretty easy. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I bet if you had more hair, I could probably do something that actually looks good. And he was like, all right, well, then I'll just let you cut my hair from now on. And then we were like, sweet, we'll save mom and dad some money. Maybe they'll let us use that money for some shoes
Yeah.
instead. And so anyway, we're
Or clippers.
it was a little scheming of like, yeah, maybe we could use our money from our parents to not get haircuts, but to
Yeah.
because we've always been a creative family and anyway, so and anyway, so I give him the buzz cut, and I'm like, let's grow it out. And then as it grows out, I continue to cut his hair. And by the fifth or sixth haircut, I have some photos of those haircuts. I was like, I've never seen haircuts like this. I'm not sure anybody in this town has seen haircuts like this. This is actually good.
Yeah.
This isn't just a means to an end, but this is truly, I'm helping my brother express himself.
Yeah.
And so then I started cutting my own hair, and then I was kind of expressing myself. And then the kids at school were like, hey, well, you're different. Your haircut's cool. Can I get a haircut? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I never did it for free.
Oh yeah.
It was always money. And I was like,
awesome.
I need a job.
Yeah.
My brother's working at a ranch, and he's getting his butt kicked like a dog every day working. I'm not making very much money. And I was like, I could just,
You're like,
I was like, let me cut these kids' hair and I'll make $5-10 here and there. And so, I started stacking a little money, and I was like, oh, this is really fun. I don't feel like this is a job in any way, and I love it, and I'm getting paid. So fast forward to college, I decided I was a football player, and so I came in, I played football at Texas A&M, and this was the moment.
By the way, it's a big deal.
Appreciate
just to let you know.
Appreciate that. I don't talk about it much, but
my nephew said, I said, yeah, this guy played D1 ball at A&M. He goes, he played at A&M? I was like, yeah. He's like, dang. I was like, yeah, and he's a barber. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. It's a big deal.
I appreciate it. And so anyway, I get to A&M, and I was struggling. That's another story for another time, but I get injured, and
Struggling how?
I was struggling mentally.
Oh, just mentally, yeah.
I was dating my high school girlfriend, who's now my wife of 7 years. We have 2 children. And I was just really going through like, I am a sucky boyfriend. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I am injured. I'm not getting to do what I thought was going to be my future, what I thought was going to be my dream. I'm failing 3 classes because I have ADD, and I wasn't on medication, and I didn't know I didn't have any systems and process to support the needs that I had. And And anyway, right in that moment, I had this like, I started reading my Bible and I had this like moment with God where I just felt a peace that gave me a comfort that was like, all this stuff is going to be taken care of. I just need to focus on today. And I
Mm-hmm.
just had this like real peace that surpassed the circumstantial evidence that was in my eyes and in my ears and in my neck, because I injured my neck. That I don't know, it just gave me this sense of freedom that I was in desperate need of. And right around that time, it's like my eyes just kind of opened where I was like, all my teammates need haircuts. And that seems like such a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, hey, I don't have a barber. I don't know anybody who can cut my hair well. And so I start cutting their hair and it just like the world just kind of opened up where I was like, I was cutting a lot of afro texture. I was cutting a lot of straight hair. Uh, and I don't know, it just, the long story short of it, it was like my eyes were open to what this could be. And then it afforded me this opportunity to talk to people about the peace that I had found,
Yeah.
the hope that I had, the freedom that I had, regardless of the circumstantial evidence that was in my life. And so that was when I was like, maybe this could be my career.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my friends in college had jobs, but I didn't have to get a job because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care if I don't have a license. I'm still going to charge $35 cutting out in my bedroom. Who cares?
Yeah.
And my clients didn't care because it was the best haircut they could get.
Yeah.
That's what they thought. I'm sure they could have got a better haircut somewhere else. But like you said, it's like, it's not about being the best to everyone. It's about being the best to the person in my chair.
Absolutely.
And they loved what I
100%.
brought to the table.
Yeah.
And so did I. So I was proud of it. And
I think that's so powerful, though. Like those words, for sure.
yeah.
I think it's really important. I feel like a lot of people forget that.
Yeah, I do, especially right now with Instagram wasn't the thing then.
Yeah.
It was like, it was just an honest expression between me and my client, and that's all that mattered. Now it's all about, well, am I getting likes on this photo on Instagram? Am I getting likes on this reel on Instagram? And now there are people as barbers, as hairstylists, they think to be successful, they have to have an audience online. It's like, no, you have to have an audience of 50, of 100 who are in your chair, who love what you do and value everything that you bring to the table.
100%.
And that's really the backbone of what we do, right? And so I never had this, fortunately, because there was no Instagram, there was no social media for me to kind of utilize and feel that pressure. I was able to really lock in on my craft. And so, that was in 2000, that was around 2015, whenever I had been cutting hair up until that point. So I had been cutting hair for about 4 years or so up until that point. And so then if you fast forward that to 2018, I was graduating college, which I didn't graduate, by the way. I'll tell you that here in a second. But my wife graduated, who was my fiance at the time, and we got married. And she was like, "Why haven't you gotten licensed? You can't do this as a career without a license." And I was like, "I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't get past that point." And I was like, "Well, I'm working on a degree. Maybe I'll use the degree." And she was like, "But you love this.
Yeah.
You love everything about this. There's not a day that you've come home from cutting hair where you haven't felt energized and excited." And I was like, you're right. And so,
You love it so much, you make diagrams.
right. I draw about it. I write about it. I talk about it. I'm always talking about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I think I'll go to barber school. And so there was no real, for whatever reason, I didn't even consider cosmetology school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to barber school, and I was heavily into thrifted clothes at the time. I was one of the only people I knew who was into it because there wasn't a culture around it here at that time, because it was here in Bryan College Station. And so I had a little booth with my little brother where we flipped clothes, and we would buy clothes, cut the collars off, sew them up, do cool hems. It was super sick. And that's really how I paid the bills, was doing that, because I was in barber school charging $5 for the haircut. And so
Yeah.
but then about 6 months into barber school, because it took me about a year and a half to do it, because I was doing college at the same time. I was like, who cares what the school charges? I'm gonna charge $35, and I'll give the school their 8 or their 5 or whatever it was. And the school owner was so supportive. He was like, I don't care either. You just do what you need to do. And so,
Dude, that's so sweet.
before I even graduated school, I had 200 clients who were paying me $35, tipping 10, and I was giving the school the 7. And so before I even graduated school, I was able to support me and my wife. And she at the time was working an architecture job, but I was in the spot where I was like, hey, I'm paying our mortgage, I'm paying our car notes, I'm paying our insurance, I'm paying our phone bills, and we're having fun on the weekends. Like, you don't need to work.
Yeah.
If you want to work, you can work. But she was like, I hate my job. I was like, yeah, I don't like your job either. And so anyway, she did, that was when we started thinking like, maybe we'll have kids soon. And she was like, I think that would be great, and I'd love to be a stay-at-home.
You're like, you need to get back to work.
No.
We got 2 kids.
She was like, no, I think you're right. I think being a mom is my dream. And I was like, that's awesome. And so fast forward, I'm graduated from barber school. I work in a barber shop for 3 months. I worked in a barber shop for 3 months. I was there the first day that the barber shop opened. And by the end of 3 months, I was doing an average of 108 haircuts a week, charging $30.
Oh.
And my back was broken.
Dude, seriously.
And that is like barbers think that's the dream. Barbers think
it's not
the dream is to be cutting all day long, fully booked. And it's like, that might be your dream, but it is not my dream. Because a lot of money is great, but money comes and goes. And it's about my peace and my like,
seriously,
weekly rhythms of rest, and I had none of that, but I did have a lot of money. And the money didn't change it. It made me I just wanted to be less busy. And so I just had this moment with the owner where I was like, dude, I love what you're doing. I love what I've been able to accomplish here, but I've hit the glass ceiling of what I can have here. And so I think I'm ready to go. And he was like, dude, I support you. We're still friends to this day. We actually do business together. He's a great guy. I love him. Shout out JB. Anyway, so then I find a booth in a salon in Century Square here in College Station. It was a new development, and it was kind of a shot in the dark where I was like, I don't really know, this place is going to have no walk-in traffic, but I have a pretty good clientele, and I'm just going to send it. And so on a wing and a prayer, I just launched in there, and I was like, hey, this is the booth rent I want. She was like, there's no way I can give you that. And I was like, well, hey, let me tell you this. You have 10 stylists in here who are booked out about 25% of the time. I'm going to be booked out about 100% of the time. You're going to see over 100 people walk in here every week with their wives, with their girlfriends, with their kids, with their grandmas, with their husbands.
Everybody.
And they're going to shop because they had a big store in the front. And she was like, okay, well, I'll let you prove it. Let's see what you can do. And so we come in, and I just, for a year, I just slaved like that with still a pretty low price of about $40, I think. And she was like, all right, the proof's in the pudding. You did what you said you were going to do. I'll give you the booth rent that you want. And so she gave me a great deal, and I stayed there for about 4 years, and I raised my price up to $60, which was by far the most expensive haircut in Bryan College Station at the time. And I was super proud of my work, really low stress. I controlled my own hours. I did the whole booth suite thing. But then there was this moment where I loved what I did so much that I started trying to convince my clients to become hairstylists, to become barbers. And I loved it that much. I was like, you need to do what I do because you're looking for what I got. And I can help you achieve it. And so that's what happened with Clay. He had just finished his master's degree, and his dad's a surgeon, ear, nose, and throat. His mom is very respected in the community and what she does as well. And I think naturally he was like, no, he had got a degree in accounting and a master's degree in entrepreneurship. And he's like, no, I'm going to do the career thing. And I was like, okay, well, I think you're probably going to change your mind.
Quick.
And if you do, I'm here for it. And so fast forward, I started training him. And so anyway, he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go to barber school. And I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, really? Like, you're leaving a master's degree and all of these expectations to do this. I can't believe you believed me.
Did you ask your parents?
He did.
Yeah.
And his parents are so awesome.
Supportive.
He has such an amazing relationship with his family. They were supportive. So anyway, I had no idea how to teach him. I really didn't. But what I think I provided him was respect, encouragement. I was showing up and I was working hard, and he believed that if he was in my presence long enough that he too would have success. And also, Clay works really hard. He works really, really hard. And what I've found in this industry is that's actually pretty rare.
Yeah, it's true.
Because when the first 2 years aren't going like you think it's gonna go, and you don't know how to sell, and you're still just figuring out how to cut hair, It's like that's a lot of stacked odds against someone's mental state. And
And
by
as a
God's
barber.
grace and his hard work, he stuck into it,
Yeah.
right? And so here we are, nearly 4 years later, and he has a thriving business. He's married with a son, and he owns a home, and he's doing great. And what he's been able to accomplish in just 4 years is he's in the 1% of the barbers in this town.
Yeah.
All barbers are trying to find that six-figure salary. He's done it, right?
Yeah.
And
In 4 years.
in less than 4 years.
Yeah.
He did it in 3. And
But this is what I'm talking about. It's not always about the talent. It's
Right.
like so much more.
it's so much more.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always believed and demonstrated, and he believed it, and he accomplished it as well. And so I had this moment where I was like, why wouldn't I try to bring something to this city?
Yeah.
If I can do it with Clay, I can help other people do it too. And Clay's the kind of guy that he'll try to help others as well. It's not just going to be all on my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, I was in that suite for about almost 4 years or so. I opened 101 Barber Company here in Bryan, Texas. And I was like, how do I do this debt free? How do I do this with long-term sustainability? And how do I attract a staff that sees what Clay saw?
Yeah.
And in that process, I became a much better educator because I was thinking about what am I doing in a very critical, systematic way to explain not just systems, but how to more accurately communicate what I was doing creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And so I became a much, much better educator through that process of hiring new people and taking them through an apprenticeship and showing them price point, marketing, etc. And so now we're here in 101 Barber Company. We have about 2,400 square feet. We have 14 barbers on the team. We're a dual licensed shop where we have 2 cosmetologists and 10 barbers.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people move here from Houston to work because they took classes that I taught in Houston.
That's amazing.
They want to be here
Yeah.
under my leadership and grow as artists. And I have barbers who are fresh out of barber school and who don't know anything about the industry, but they trust me and they're
Yeah.
growing because of their hard work and because I do love them and I want them to be their best.
That's
And
the best feeling.
it is.
It truly is awesome.
And it is absolutely gut-wrenching
Yeah.
also.
Well, there's a lot on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, because I'm not the hair cutter anymore.
Yeah.
I'm the mentor. I'm the marketing.
This is what I was telling you earlier. I was
The guy
like,
who has to get the lights turned
Yeah.
back on whenever the light bill forgets to get paid
Yeah.
because I made a mistake or whatever.
I think whenever I said this to you earlier. I was like, you either need to raise your prices significantly to where it's like when you're behind the chair cutting hair, like it's a privilege for someone to sit in your chair kind of thing, and then mentoring everybody else and building this salon up and making it like the best. And there was this one girl that I worked with, and I've done this also, where now I'm not telling you this is what you should do, but like it was really important whenever she was talking about buying a house. And so the salon owner knew that she wanted to buy the house, right? So he said to her, because he said, you're a really good employee, I don't want to lose you, why don't I help you with the down payment? What that did was it gave her the loyalty to him. She was like, oh my God, this guy totally helped me, and I'm going to give everything I can to like support him and make him whatever. I did the same thing twice. I had 2 assistants. One assistant, I did this reality show in LA, an episode, and I knew him from Dallas, but he was living in LA. And I said to him, do you ever plan on moving back to Texas? He said, I do. I said, well, why don't you be my assistant in Austin? And so he flew back. He was my assistant in Austin. So what he did, he'd walk to work every day, to and from work. And I was on the east side. He was living on Riverside. It was a mile walk or whatever. So he did that for about 6 months. And I said to him one day, I said, it's time for you to get a car. He never asked me for a ride or anything, but I said, it's time for you to get a car. I don't have any money. I said, why don't you go find out how much it costs to put money down to get a car, and then let's talk about it. So I took him to CarMax, and he was looking at this little bitty Fiat. It was like, whatever, And so I said, I think we put down $1,000. And I put down $1,000, and I said, can you afford this every month? And he said, yeah, it was like $200 something, I guess. So he said, yeah, and so I got him that car. But what that did was he was like so loyal to me about all of this stuff. I did the same thing for this other assistant where she got into a wreck and she was living in Round Rock. And I was all like, she's all like, I'll catch a bus. I was like, girl, by the time you get to work, you're gonna have to get back on the bus and go back home. I was like, it's gonna take that long. And I said, you have a little girl. What if something happens? You can't just get on the bus. So I had 2 vehicles at the time. I said, drive my car. I'm gonna drive the Bronco. And what ends up, and I said, go look and see how much it costs to get a car. So we got her in a little Fiat too. And I put down $1,500 for her. And I said, there you go. And so what I did is I know how much she was making every month. So I would tip her every week. So I just kept the tip until she paid it in full, and she did. And, you know, those kinds of things, I feel like where I'm at in my life, like all of it comes back around because I do it because I want to help people always, you know. And I'm glad that I'm in a position that I'm able to do that kind of stuff because I think it's really important. And this is what I was telling you with you, like what you're trying to do, I think is really smart, and it's awesome. It's going to take, you're already doing it, but it's hard work. But, you know, like I know that you have other things planned out and stuff like that, but once you get that all set up, I think it would be beneficial for you to like step away, raise your prices significantly, so whoever sits in your chair would be awesome, but then you're all about supporting everybody else, you know? I think it'd be really awesome. And it gives all your employees or all your other barbers like satisfaction of like growing, you know, because they're like, wow, Luke's taking time to like really like dictate and like mentor me and like make me a better barber and person and business person and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really important.
That's kind of how I appreciate that encouragement, by the way.
Yeah.
I bought my client a car once.
You did?
He couldn't go home for Christmas. I was in college.
Yeah.
I was playing college football, but I was making great money cutting hair out of my. I had a traditional 1910 Koken wooden framed porcelain based barber chair that I had refurbished with red velvet. It was a sick little setup. I thought I was going to be this like super traditional barber at the time, which I totally.
You should have wear a bow tie to work.
And I'll keep this story brief because I want to tell you a little more about the shop. But his car broke down and his family couldn't afford him to buy a car. And all the athletes and students were going home for Christmas break, and he was like, dude, I can't go home. I can't drive to Oklahoma to get there. I can't even afford a bus.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, what? And I'm like sitting here with like a few $1,000 that I had saved. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was 19 years old. And I'm like, dude, let's find a car. And he's like, what? And I'm like, no, actually, no, I didn't tell him. I just found a car. I don't remember how the circumstances fell, but it was another client who had a car for sale, and I told him the story. He was like, dude, I'll sell you this car for $500. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. I go get in this car. I go buy this car. I drive it back, and it is a 1999 Chevy Impala where all the panels are completely different colors, no hubcaps.
Got him to Oklahoma.
I get the car, I'm driving home, I turn on the stereo, and I realize there's 215 subs and a custom box in the back with tweeters and all this. And I'm like, this is like, the system alone is like $1,500. This is crazy. He sold me this car for $500. I get the car, I'm driving home, I get pulled over by a cop.
Oh.
And the cop's like, hey, can you step out? And I was like, for what reason? And he was like, I just need you to step out. I didn't know my rights. So I stepped out, and he was like, hey, there's marijuana all over the floor of this car. And I'm like, I've never smoked marijuana.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm screwed. I don't even know. Like, I just bought this car for this guy trying to be nice, and I'm about to get freaking canned for it. And the cop goes on the floor and he does this and he grabs it and he's like, there's enough seeds and stems and bud here for me to lock you up.
Oh.
And I was just like,
let me tell you the story.
And I was like, yeah. So I tell him the story, and he just flat out believes me. He's like, just get the car clean and you're fine. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I clean the car, deliver it to my friend, and I just tell him to get in. And he's like, oh, you got a new car? I'm like, yeah, I got a new car. And he's like, cool.
He's like, man, that looks sweet.
I was like, why don't you drive it? And he's like, okay, cool. And so we go to practice because we had one final meeting for team whatever before we went for Christmas break. And as we're driving it, I'm like, hey, this car's yours. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, bro, I got you this car so you can go home to see your family for Christmas. And by the way, you get to keep it, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not just giving it to you so you can drive it. And he just immediately starts crying and swerves and we almost hit a tree. And it was like, anyway, like that was what kind of opened my eyes to like, I can make great money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this like side hustle. I can make great money doing what I'm doing, where I can live in a life that doesn't just appease my needs financially, but I can actually live with a generosity that's gonna impact other people. You know,
it's amazing when you can do that kind of stuff.
Right.
Truly, truly, it is.
And this isn't the only career that will allow you to do that, but it's what allowed me to do it. So.
Well, I think it's important to like talk about that kind of stuff because I feel like a lot of times when you tell people that you're a hairstylist or a barber, they don't look at it like that,
no,
right? I'm all like, I'm a hairstylist that charges $175 a haircut.
Yeah.
I was like, that's saying something. That's like more than some doctors make.
Right.
Like,
right.
I mean, I'm not comparing it to that, but just saying, you know.
So anyway, back to the shop. So now where I'm at in my career is I've been asked by a few different companies to educate on their behalf. And I have just loved it because I've been able to travel and see other shops and salons and barber shops alike and just be like, what do I not like and what do I like about this and how can I implement these things here for my staff, and everything from pricing to marketing to just the vibe of the hospitality. And I have got so much to learn. The more you travel, the more you know you don't know anything compared to what you can know. And so anyway, long story short, I'm in a place in my career where I feel like what I really bring to the table is knowledge that translates into skill. Not just knowledge that encourages people, but knowledge that people can hear me and they're like, I understand what that guy's saying.
Yeah.
Whether they have no experience or a lot of experience. And so that's why I've started filming this masterclass series of videos that are all of the fundamentals of cutting hair, from mapping sections to the understanding elevation and over direction and tool knowledge, product knowledge, styling, everything from short to long hair. And so I've been super stoked to put that together in a format that feels really luxurious. It's not just like a quick Instagram reel and teaching you how to cut hair. It's like, hey, this is me, and I want to give this to you in a way that really feels like a truly luxurious piece of life, career transformation. So anyway, I've been super stoked on putting that together. We've me and my videographer Cody Hamilton have put together.
I know Cody.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy, right?
Yeah, I used to cut his hair out of Austin, right? Or he used to. No, I thought it was a different. I thought it was a different Cody. Yeah, there is. He was in that. Yeah. I thought, oh my God, I know that guy because he's also a videographer.
Really? Oh, that's crazy.
He had like a little company with like 4 other guys, and they're all like creatives.
Yeah.
And as soon as you said his name, I was like, oh my God.
These Codys need to get to know each other.
They really do.
He's also an amazing creative, shooting for Adidas and Hollister and Texas.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. But anyway, we're 6 videos into what I think will probably be a lot more videos.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out right now, do I want this to be an online platform where people just kind of pay a one-time fee type thing? And I don't really think so.
No,
I don't think it's going to be that, because
I think it's a good introduction.
Another option that people are already doing.
Yeah.
Like, no, I want large companies to see what Luke brings to the table is seriously valid and valuable and
educational
and thorough and professional. You know, I'm not trying to do this $20 a month thing where barbers are like, I'll buy it all and then I'll cancel on membership. It's like, no, dude, because that's not going to help you.
No.
It's just going to be another thing that you buy, save, and never look at. No, I want this to transform people's careers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm super stoked about that. I've shown you some of it. Yeah. You loved it. So
I think it's great. I also think that you're absolutely 100% not making that kind of like your direction. I think it's an additive to what you're doing. I think it's really important, especially as you build to whatever you're trying to get to. But also, whenever you buy something online, you don't retain it. You can go back and reference it, but you can't really learn. So having this is important, but also having like your classes, because your classes are the ones that's going to make you the money.
Right.
For anybody taking the class, you're going to get the most valid educational from doing hands-on.
Yeah,
Not always just on a mannequin, but like on people and all of that other stuff. Having that information, it's like when I graduated cosmetology school and I went to a class, I knew nothing. I got $1,000 back from Baldwin and I was like, I'm going to take a cutting class. Well, I don't know anything about cutting. I just graduated cosmetology school.
Right.
And so I wasted $1,000 and a trip up to Dallas. And I was like, what was I thinking? It was because I was just ambitious and I thought I was going to make $65,000 to $80,000 in the first year when I truly made $250 a week.
Right.
You know,
right.
So whatever.
So yeah, between owning the shop and working on this videography series, this educational series, you know, I'm also doing the in-person courses where, like you said, it's like people can watch a video and they're like, thanks for the inspiration. But when they come to an in-person class, they're like, this is totally different.
Completely different.
And so I've been super stoked to do the in-person courses. I've got another one coming up in October. I just did one in August, and I will continue to do them throughout the year. But what's been really, really cool about that is that barbers in the area are like, what's happening at 101 is different.
Yeah,
it's not just another barber shop that I pay booth rent at or that I have a commission model at where I try to make $1,000 a week or $2,000 a week. It's like, no, when I go and I work at one, my career is going to change. My career is going to change forever, and I want them to know that what they're going to find here is going to be different and better than anywhere else that they can get it. So my staff, they join in on the courses and they get to network with other barbers. They get to see, oh, this person's experience at their shop is way different than here, and there's things to learn from them, but there's things that they get to learn and teach as well. So it's been an amazing culture add to what's going on at 101, and I'm in the throes of like, where is 101 going? Because I've got these kind of pieces that are all kind of like moving around. And
you don't have to know where it goes.
That's what I was going to say is like your story where you're like, I put the bow tie on because it was cool. Yeah. I liked it. Actually, I thought it was kind of stupid, but it was cool. Yeah. And then the next week, the next thing happens and the next thing. That's
grow with it.
That's exactly where I'm at is I'm not trying to, unlike most influencers online, say, here's a 10-step program to accomplish this goal.
Because it doesn't work for everybody.
It doesn't work for everyone. It works for some, but it doesn't work for most. And that never worked for me. Yeah. What works for me is I'm just going to do my best every single day. And I'm going to take care of anyone who's in my chair or in a chair across from me having a conversation with me, because those are the people who are going to love me and support me and cheer me on as I go into this next thing, whatever it is. Right? So I don't really have a plan.
That's okay. I think a lot of times we feel like we need a plan because everybody is always like, what's your plan? What's your plan? I don't know. My plan is like, I thought I already succeeded. Like I thought me raising my prices to 175 was great. I didn't know that I was going to ever be an educator. Right. I never wanted to be an educator. I'm not like the educator kind of person. I'm like a big cheerleader. And that's what I tell people. That's why I'm all like, I'm not an educator. I'd rather be more of a mentor. Like I could tell you like what to do, but I'm literally going to sell shears. I'm just showing you like what I do, right? Like why I'm able to charge what I charge. Yeah. But it's so much more than just the haircut. Yeah. And I keep on saying that because I think a lot of times people are like, well, he's really good at what he does. I'm really good at what I do. I'm not the best, but like there's so much more to that. Like there's me going to work an hour early to get my foils ripped if I'm doing highlights. Right. So I don't have to do it while my client's sitting in the chair. There's so much more for me walking my clients, holding their arms so they don't fall off walking down the steps and opening the car door and thank you so much. There's so much more to like dressing for success and dressing for the clientele that you want. There's so much more to like all of that than just doing hair. Right. That hair is like 20% of the thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I do. And most barbers think it's everything.
It's not.
They think
there's so many other people.
That's why I think it's an interesting element of the barbering space. When you go to these barber competitions, they're using glitter. Yeah. They're wearing costumes.
I don't like barbering competitions. Do you?
No.
I think it's horrible.
I respect what they're doing, but but it's not my flavor. No. And the point I'm trying to make is They think it's all about the haircut.
No.
And they're like, this fade can only get so blurry. So to make it blurrier, now I need to use enhancements.
Yeah.
And that's cool. They're doing their thing, and I do respect that as an art because it is art.
Yeah.
But I'm like, guys, it's not all about the haircut. It's about the haircut and the hospitality. And the hospitality is like 80% of what these people
so
want.
important. Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's what I've been trying to live by as well. And I think that's what's allowed me to kind of stay on top of the local market. And so,
I mean, Luke, all you have to do is go to every single barbershop. They're all the same. So what's going to separate you from everybody else? You're already doing it.
right.
You know, like having a space like this, it's already next level.
Mhm.
You know,
Appreciate
but
that.
like going to other barbershops, like if they're not implementing shears, what's going to separate them from, you know, if they're adding shears, then you take the ones that aren't doing barbershops and you can put them over here because the ones adding shears, depending on their shear work, is like next level. And then whoever is just doing shears is next level, or whoever has like a really, like, you can have a really clean space, but you have to have really good people in it, you know? So just because you have, it's like going to a really nice restaurant. If it's a beautiful restaurant, the food's not good, they're not going to last, you know? But if you're a really good restaurant and good food, they're just going to be around a long time.
Yeah.
You know? So
now we're both educators, mentors
yeah.
for Hanzo.
Mm-hmm.
You're a lot more active than I am.
Every week.
Every week.
Every weekend, yeah. Seriously.
And I'm super stoked to be a part of that team because it's one of the first times when I've been in something as simple as a group chat with people who share similar thoughts, ideas, experiences. They're like, hey guys, it's not only about the haircut.
Well, I think Hanzo needs a lot of work. Like I think they were two boys that founded a company and they party like they just found it. And I think it's great. But I'm at the point in my life that I don't party like that. And I'm all about like making this a profession. So whenever I go to these events, it's like going to a party. And I'm not going there to do that. I'm going there so I can be like as good as I can be. So I'm a yes guy all the time. But I feel like they are starting to focus more along that because I think people have grown up 15 years later, you know? And I feel like some of the people that they are hiring are on the same mindset, which is going to really separate them from everybody else because I didn't know the reputation Hanzo had before I started Hanzo. All I knew is I used their shears for 10
That's
years.
the same story
you know?
for me.
And then I get in there and I'm all like, why are these people like, and then they're like, oh yeah, you know, they're kind of known for like partying and having, I was like, I had no idea.
I just used the shears and love them.
Yeah, I just use them. And then I'm all like, okay, well now I have to really kind of fight a little bit to be all like, well, I understand the history that they had is a little bit different from what I'm trying to portray. But like, you know, I think a company like that's that successful needs to be on the same page. And I feel like they have some curves and corners to go and try and fix and do all that stuff. But I think it's a really good company. I think
I agree.
they definitely changed my life. I love them. I love everything about it. I feel like, you know, like any kind of company, they have growing pains and it could be better in certain things. It's just my opinion. My opinion doesn't really mean anything. You know, I'm just doing whatever I need to do to make my experience with them good, and I love it for that reason.
And on that note, I think that they've done a really good job of respecting each artist.
Absolutely.
Like you and I. Like, what do we bring to the table, regardless if it's different? If it's going to have success and it's going to benefit both us,
That's all that
and the
matters.
brand, they're like, that's great.
Yeah.
So Ricky Hodge, you do your thing, and Luke Knowles, you do your thing. And we want to support whatever it is that you're doing. Which
that's
not
what
a
I
lot
love.
of companies that are doing that. A lot of companies are like,
you work for them.
here is the non-compete disclosure agreement, and that's just how it's going to be for you.
Here's my non-compete.
Right. And so I can appreciate that, where they see the vision. They might not even understand the vision that we have as individuals, but they're like, we see that you have a vision, and we want to support that. So,
which is great.
It's incredible
because we're all creatives and we want to do that kind of stuff. So
commendable to them for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I have really enjoyed our time. Really enjoyed the bagel together, the coffee together.
Yeah.
You giving me a ride to my house when I forgot the mics.
Yeah.
No, but I think this won't be the last time that we do some work together.
No.
So
I'm excited. I can't wait to see what you do. I think it's gonna be really successful.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I really do. I think you're onto something really awesome, and I like the direction. I like the aesthetic, actually.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's gonna look really. You know, one of my friends has he does Instagram where you can buy his classes online, which is great. He makes a lot of money doing it, and his thing is expensive hair. And my best friend also does this thing where when he takes a picture and he likes it, he always says that looks expensive. So anytime I think of the word expensive, I think that's really, really good. And I feel like you're along the lines of being expensive. And so lean into that and be expensive, because what the knowledge that we all have experiences that evolves into knowledge of what we've done. But no one's having a platform to talk about it and do it. And
Yep.
you're investing in that, and we should share it. And getting people in here to talk about their experiences and stuff, I think is really important and valid, because we all are thinking the same things. And maybe someone's going to hear something that we said, be like, oh, that totally makes sense.
Mm.
Which is kind of like what I do anyways whenever I go and mentor, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to teach a new haircut. You already know how to cut. I'm just going to show you why I cut like I do,
Yeah.
and why my clients come in every 8 to 12 weeks,
Mm.
because they pay for that longevity kind of thing.
One more thought I had. I paint.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of mixed media art. It's like in the roots of my my upbringing. Like I mentioned, my mom.
Yeah.
We had a studio in our house, so my mom was always painting. Something I like to liken what we do as artists in hair is to painting, right?
Yeah.
You see this painting on a wall in a museum, and it's sold for $250,000,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, what about that? Often people look at that and they're like, that's not worth $250,000, and it's not worth $250,000 to them.
Yeah.
But there's this other people who have a relationship with the artist.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it is worth $250,000
Or more,
because I know who did this. I
Mhm.
know who he is. I know why he did this. I have a relationship with him. And so my point is whatever art we're creating, it's about the relationship with this person. If you want to increase your prices, if you want to kind of operate in this upper echelon of whatever creative space that you're working in a way that's lucrative and allows you to live whatever life you're trying to accomplish, it really doesn't come down to the price point. It comes down to the relationship. Everything will build off of that, right? So treat
Absolutely.
everybody with the utmost amount of love, care, service, compassion, respect, generosity. And so I think you and I have been able to do that successfully in the 15 years that we both had in this industry. And that's what's allowed us to be in the positions that we're at. And I don't think that that's come by shortcuts. I don't think it's come by anything that would be considered standard operating procedures. It's really come by love, compassion, being generous, and just doing our absolute best every day to express ourselves in the most honest way that we can. And people see that, and they want to pay for that, and they want to
totally
follow that. So,
and there's going to be I've had people sit in my chair and never come back again, and that's totally fine.
yeah,
I cannot please everybody, and if someone doesn't see the value of what I have to offer, it's totally fine.
right.
Because there's other people that
There's other people that do.
billions of people out there,
Yeah,
and all I need is like 50.
right.
That's where the 50-100 comes in. It's like I don't need all of them. I need just them.
right.
And whenever I left the big salon to the small and did my own thing, they were getting like 60%. I was like, man, if I can just take 10 to 15 of my clients, that's 100%. Right? Minus whatever you have to give to Uncle Sam. So I was like, I had a list. And I was like, called every single one of them before text messaging. Hey, I'm going down. Okay, I can still keep that same appointment. And they're like, okay, cool. And the ones that I wanted to follow, followed. And that's all that mattered.
Well, I really enjoyed our time.
Cool, man. Let's do some haircuts.
Let's do it.